Thousands of board games come out every year, and I try to play as many as I can. And oh, I try. But there seems to be always some gems that I miss every year. One example of this is Sagrada from Floodgate Games. This is a dice drafting game that came out back in 2017. I saw a lot of my friends playing it, and it made me think, I need to try that sometime. And then over the months, it kept showing up on the hotness on BGG, and I thought, I really need to try that sometime. And then I kind of forgot about it, and later some expansions came out for the game. People started playing it again, and I thought, I really need to try that. Well, in 2020, Direwolf Digital released a version of the game on the Nintendo Switch, and I thought, I really need to try that. And so I did. In Sagrada, each player will build a stained glass window by filling a grid on their player board with dice. Each board has some restrictions on which color or value of die can be placed there. Dice of the same value or color may never be placed next to each other, or as I like to say, orthogonal. Ta-da! Dice are drafted in player order using a snake draft where the last player drafts 2 dice, then the draft order reverses. Scoring is variable per game based on achieving various patterns and varieties of dice placement, as well as bonus points for hidden goals. Special tools can be used to help you break the rules by spending skill tokens. Once a tool is used, it then requires more skill tokens for the other players to use them. Then after 10 rounds, the highest scoring window artisan wins. Since I had never played Sagrada, I had to rely on the tutorial of the game in order to teach me the rules. The tutorial did a good job of teaching the basics of the game, then letting you play a few rounds to get the hang of it. As the game went on, it would introduce the rest of the rules, such as the tools, etc., so that by the end of the game, you knew everything you needed to know to get started in your first game. And if you ever needed a refresher or need to look up a rule, there is a rule book that you can reference within the game. This game offers all the multiplayer options that I look for in a game. There's a pass and play option for local play. And online mode has both live and casual play. Live is playing at the same time online with an opponent, and casual is where you take your turn, you can log off, come back later after your opponent has taken their turn. There are 3 solo options. An AI mode is where you set up a game against 1 to 3 AI players and play a regular game. There's a campaign mode where the game gives you specific boards and scenarios to use against AI players. At the end, based on how well you finished, you'll earn 1 to 3 stars, which allows you to continue the campaign. But my favorite solo mode is actually solo. In this mode, when you start the game, you set the difficulty and you play a game by yourself to see how many points you can score. I like this mode because I play over and over trying to beat my previous score, which lets me try out different strategies. Plus, in this mode, I don't have to wait for AI players to take their turns. I mean, who wants downtime during a game? Regardless of the mode to play, I really like the strategy in this game. It all comes down to that dice roll at the beginning of the round, which sometimes can make it hard to plan ahead. For me, early on in the game, I try to grab the dice for the squares that I need that fill certain colors or numbers. Then in later rounds, I'd have more options on what dice to draft, even though there are fewer open spaces. But you gotta keep in mind those rules about not being able to place the same color or value of die next to each other, or orthogonal. Also at the beginning of the game, each player is given a private in-game scoring card, plus there's 3 public cards. And it could be things like getting points for columns or rows that have different colors, or adding up all the pips of a certain color of a die. So now each round you have to fulfill as many in-game scoring conditions as possible, because many times that will determine the winner at the end. Now when it comes to the UI, the game is pretty straightforward. Use the left stick or D-pad to move around, typically A to select, and I say typically because you have to keep an eye out on which button is needed to accept input. For example, here A is used to select a menu, then X is used to confirm that choice. While playing the game, A is used to select and place a die, but ZR is used to confirm. When I was learning to play, there were times I kept mashing the A to progress the game and realized, oh, it's a different button. But I do like to confirm your selections during play in case you pick a wrong die or make a bad die placement. And at any point during your turn, you can press ZL to undo your last move. Also, there are some tools that when activated use a little blue wisp or cloud. I don't know what you call it, but at first, in handheld mode, I couldn't figure out what I was selecting. Again, after that little bit of a learning curve at the beginning of the game, it becomes second nature to you. Now, some of you may be interested in this game, but not on a Nintendo Switch. My question to you is, why? This is one of my favorite consoles of all time, and I think you should get one. But look, if that doesn't convince you, you can also get the game on the Apple Store, Google Play, and Steam. As I play more and more board games app on the Switch, I tend to go back to the ones that are easy to jump into and quick to play. Sagrada is one of those, and at $14.99, I think it's a good port and a good game. In fact, now I really want a physical copy of this game to play with my family and friends, because as good as this digital version is, there is nothing like the feel and sound of rolling real dice. So let me ask you, have you played the physical version of Sagrada and maybe one of these digital ports? How do they compare? Is a good port matches the physical game? Hey, if you like this video, don't mind giving it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. I have several videos where I've covered board game apps on the Switch. And if you're interested in any of these versions of Sagrada, I have links down in the description below. And if you want to buy the physical version, I have a link to Miniature Market where you can get a copy. And if you like this shirt, you can get one of those there too. And when you do, just let them know Marty sent you. Actually, I don't know why I said that, because if you do that, they'll go who, and then you have to explain who that is, and it really doesn't get you anything, so just forget I said that.